Well, from the pandemic, loss of loved ones, economic struggles, losing perhaps your job, it seems we're all dealing with something each and every day. For some, though, the pressure can be overwhelming, with many turning to therapy to stay grounded. Still, others rely on the support of family and friends and their faith. Last month, First Lady Jill Biden made a special trip to Columbia, a trip that included a stop at the Brooklyn Baptist Church to surprise her prayer partner, Robin Jackson, a woman she met years ago. But what is a prayer partner and what are those benefits? News 19's Brandon Taylor has more on partners in prayer.
Dr. Jill Biden has gone on record saying her surprise trip to Brooklyn Baptist Church last month wasn't a political mission, but more of a friend supporting a friend. After her visit, we learned about a special relationship between Dr. Biden and the First Lady of Brooklyn Baptist. Some might call it a partnership of sorts that's grounded in faith.
So having a prayer partner is not just having someone to just pray with on a daily basis, but it's having a friend as well.
Robin Jackson says she is honored to call First Lady Jill Biden her prayer partner and friend.
So it's important to have a prayer partner because it's important to encourage someone else along the way.
It was Jackson that helped Dr. Biden cope with the grief of her late son, Bo, who died of brain cancer in 2015. But what exactly is a prayer partner and what are the benefits?
The most important thing about prayer partners is this: you have somebody you can call. It is the backside of being isolated. Being isolated means you have nobody. Having someone that you can call and talk to and be honest with is important.
Jonathan Holston is the resident bishop for the South Carolina Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church. Over the course of the pandemic, Bishop Holston has been releasing daily videos praying for our community because he knows isolation can be a heavy burden to bear.
What has happened over this time is that we've been isolated. Isolated from each other, isolated from the very things that we love to do, care to do. Being told by somebody else what we can and can't do is not something that South Carolinians love to do or love to hear. But the mere fact for us to be safe, we had to do those things.
Now, the feeling of loneliness was all too real for Columbia resident Ben Markowitz.
It was especially challenged at the beginning of the pandemic. I was still a student at USC. I was living in an apartment and my roommate had gotten evicted when everything really locked down. So I was sitting in the apartment by myself for months.
Markowitz says it was his faith and the support of his friends that helped him get through the storm.
Because I spent hours and hours of my time praying, worshiping, reading my Bible, things like that. And I ended up coming out of that a much stronger Christian than I was beforehand.
And in the midst of grief and in the midst of trying to struggle through what this pandemic has brought to us, we've had to depend on each other. Isn't that something? We've had to depend on each other.
And although prayer can be a private and intimate thing, Jackson says it's important to connect with people whom you can be transparent and comfortable with.
These are people of whom I can trust, who I love, and who I can reach out to and say, just lift me up in prayer. And that's all your prayer partner wants to know, is that someone is here for them.
We all know the last 18 months have been difficult. Uncertainty about jobs, the pandemic, or loss of a loved one. Some days are harder than others, but that's why Jackson says community and prayer partners are so important. In the studio, Brandon Taylor, News 19 WLTX.